Hi friends, Sunil here. Welcome to this channel. In this session, we are going to discuss recursive function and lambda functions. But before going to that, a recap of the previous video. We had discussed positional arguments, keyword arguments, and arbitrary arguments. Positional arguments are identified by their position and must be called by their position in the function definition. Whereas keyword arguments are called by their names. The arguments are recognized by their names and we use equal to sign, that is key is equal to value. And arbitrary arguments are used when we do not know how many arguments will be passed. And in the function definition, we should put an asterisk in front of the parameter. Now required positional arguments should always be placed before keyword arguments. Now coming back to recursion, a function is called recursive if a statement within the body of a function calls the same function. For a better understanding of recursion, we will take an example of finding factorial of number 4. So here in the program, in the function definition, I am having a function mulnos, means multiply numbers, with parameter as n. So from the print statement here, I am calling that function with argument as 4. 4 because I am finding the factorial of number 4. So I am giving the argument as 4. So on execution of this call statement, 4 will be passed on to n here. So the value of n is now 4. So inside the function, it will check whether n is greater than or equal to 1. In this case, now the value of n is 4. So 4 is greater than 1. It will execute this statement. That is return 4 into mulnos minus 1. So here 4 into mulnos minus 1 means it is again calling the same function with argument as 3 because n minus 1 is 3, 4 minus 1 is 3. So it is calling the same function again. So this repeated calling of the function is called recursion. Now in normal circumstances, if this would have been a value, say 20, then the function would have returned 4 into 20, 80, and it would have printed 80 here. But that is not the case here. Here we are calling this function again with argument 3, that is 4 into mulnos 3. So the value of n is now 3. It will come to this if statement, check whether 3 is greater than 1, greater than or equal to 1. Yes, it is greater than 1. So it will again execute this statement. This time 3 into mulnos n minus 1 is 2. So 3 into mulnos 2, that is this. So value of n is 2 now. It will again call this function with value of n 2. Then it will come here and check whether 2 is greater than 1. Yes, 2 is greater than 1. So this time 2 into mulnos 2 minus 1 is 1. So that is this. 2 into 1 minus 1 is 1. And with the now the value of n is 1. It will again come here and check if n is greater than or equal to 1. Yes, it is equal to 1. This condition is satisfied. So it will again execute this statement, return 1 into mulnos 1 minus 1 is 0. That is this. 1 into mulnos 1 minus 1 is 0. So 0, now the value of n will be, it will call with value 0. So value of n will be 0. So when the value of n is 0, it will again come here and it will check here whether n is greater than or equal to 1. No, it is 0 now. This condition is not satisfied. It will come down here and return 1. That is return 1. So mulnos It is calling the function again, and now it is returning 1. So the result of this execution of function malnos with argument 0 will be 1. 1 is returned to that. That is, it is returning 1. Now it will go backwards one by one with the return values. So here the return value of malnos 0, this function with the argument 0, when it was executed, the value 1 was returned. So it will be 1 into 1, that is 1. So 1 will be returned to the previous call, that is malnos 1 will have this value 1 now. So that will be multiplied by 2, which was the value of n at that point of time, that is 2. So 2 into 1 will be 2 now. So the result of this will be 2. So that 2 will be moved to the previous call, that is malnos 2. So the result of this will be moved to the previous call. So then the value of n when that call was made was 3. So 3 into 2 will be 6. The result of this is 2. So 3 into 2 is 6. Now the result of malnos 3 is 6. So 6 will be moved here. So 4 into that 6 is 24. So 24 will be the result of this function call. So that will be moved here and printed. So this is how the recursive function works. Now we will take one more. One has to be very careful while giving this condition here. Otherwise, this loop will be never ending. So to exit from the loop, you have to give the condition carefully. So the final result 24, which is the factorial of 4, will be returned to this call and printed. Now here we are having another example. Here in this case, we are finding the sum of the first 4 natural numbers. There is slight difference between the previous example and this. There we were finding factorial, now it is the sum. So here in the function definition I am having sum nos, it is sum of numbers, and parameter as n. From this print statement I am calling this sum nos with argument as 4. 4 because I am finding the sum of the first 4 numbers, so I am passing 4. So the value of n is 4 now. Now in the function it is checking whether n is not equal to 0. Yes, it is not equal to 0. The condition is satisfied. So it will return 4 plus sum of, that is plus sum nos 3. Sum nos 3 is because 4 minus 1 is 3. So it will call this function again with 3, that is 4 plus sum nos 3. So it is repeating this function again with the argument as 3. Now it will come in the again and check whether n is not equal to 0. 3 is not equal to 0. This condition is satisfied, so it will return 3 plus sum nos 2. That is 3 plus sum nos 2. Again it will call this function. It is not equal to 0. So the value of n is 2 now. So 2 plus sum nos 2 minus 1 is 1. So argument is 1. So it will again call the function with argument 1. That is this sum nos 1. It will, so now the value of n is 1. It will check not equal to 0. It will again return 1 plus 1 minus 1 is 0 with sum nos 0. It will call the same function again with argument 0. That is this 1 plus sum nos 0. It will come here. Now it is equal to 0. Now the value of n is equal to 0. So it will return n. That is, it will return 0. It is returning, this call here is returning 0. It is returning 0 here. So the value after this call, after execution of the function sumNOS with argument 0, it is getting a value of 0. Now 1, which was the value of n at that point of time when this call was made. So 1 plus the result of this is 0, 1 plus 0 is 1. So that 1 is moved to the previous call, the result of the moved to the result of the previous call. That will be added to the n at that point of time. So 1 plus 2 is 3. So 3 will be moved to the previous call, that is sumNOS 2. The result of sumNOS 2 is 3 now. That 3 will be added to the value of n at that time, that is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. So 6 will be the result of this call, that is sumNOS 3. So sumNOS 3 will have the value of 6. That will be added to the value of n, that is 4. So 10. So 10 will be the result of this, and that 10 will be passed on to the first call where we are calling this function. So 10 is the sum of the first 4 number that will be passed here and printed here. So this is how recursion works. Now we will go to the program. So this is the program. So here in the program I am calling the function multiply numbers, that is mulNOS, to find the factorial of 4, and after that I am calling the function sum numbers, that is sumNOS, to find the sum of the first 4 natural numbers. We will run this. So factorial of 4 is 24 and the sum of the first 4 natural numbers are 10. Now we will run this program for some other values. Say I am finding the factorial of 6 and sum of first 20 natural numbers. We will run this. So factorial of 6 is 720 and sum of the first 20 natural numbers are 210. Now lambda function. Lambda functions are small anonymous functions. That is, these functions do not have name. We use lambda keyword to declare them. These functions are used when you need a function for a short period of time. They can contain n number of arguments but can return only one expression. This expression is executed and the value is returned. Result is returned. So in this case here, lambda expression is having an argument a and we are adding 20 to a. So 7 is passed to a and a plus 20, 7 plus 20, 27 is the result. Here we are passing 2 arguments, that is 7 is passed to a, 6 is passed to b. So 7 into 6, 42 is the expression which is executed, which will be evaluated and returned. So result will be 42 will be printed here. In this case we are doubling the number. The argument x is getting the value 5, so 5 into 2, 10 will be printed. Then here we are passing the argument, lambda argument as 10 here, and we are passing a normal argument to a normal function which is, the value of n is passed, that is 2. So 10 into 2, 20 will be printed. So we will execute this. So here the first case, 7 plus 20, 27, then 7 into 6, 42 is getting printed, then 10 into 2, 20, 5 into 2, 10 is getting printed here. Then after that, here 10 into 2, 20 is getting printed. The value of n is 2 here. We are passing 2 to the normal function. Now in here in this function we are checking for even and odd. So in the first case I am passing the argument x, that is 7. It will print odd because x person 2 is not equal to 0. So first odd will be printed, then even will be printed. So first odd is printed because 7 is odd and 2 is even. Now passing arguments. Here we are passing positional arguments. 10 goes to A, 20 to B and 45 to C. So the expression is A plus B plus C. So the result will be 10 plus 20 plus 45 will be 75. Here we are passing keyword arguments because we are having equal to sign here. The first one is positional, the second and third arguments are keyword. So values are passed. 10 goes to A, 45 to C and 20 to B, and A plus B plus C will be 75. Then here we are having default arguments. 10 goes to A, B and C are default arguments. B is 20 and C is 45. So here also it will be 75. 10 plus 20 plus 45 will be 75. Then we are having variable list of arguments. For variable list of arguments we prefix the argument with star. So 10, 20 and 45 goes to these arguments and it is summed up. So here also the result will be 75. Then here we are passing keyword arguments. So that is why double star to this, and that sum of this will be printed. So in all these 5 cases, that is positional, keyword, the default arguments, variable list arguments and variable list keyword arguments, the result will be 75. So here it is, we are getting all 75. So the result is 75 in all the cases. Now after that, filter. Here the filter function takes in a function and a list. Function is called with all the items in the list, and a new list is returned which will contain the items which are evaluated true by the function. So the items that are evaluated true is the items which are divisible by 2, that is remainder is 0. So from the list, the items that are divisible by 2 are 4, 6, 8 and 12. So these 4 items will be printed, taken to the new list and printed. Now after that, here I am checking the condition x greater than 6. So from the list it will find out which are the elements that are greater than 6. Those elements will be taken to this new list and printed. So elements greater than 6 are 7, 8, 11 and 12 will be printed. So we will execute this. So here it is, from the first list the elements which are divisible by 2 are printed, and in the second case the elements which are greater than 6 have got printed, 7, 8, 11 and 12. Now here we are comparing lambda function with normal function. So here is our normal function. We are having test marks of students. So from these marks, whichever mark is getting more than, student is getting more than 35, that is returned true. Otherwise it is false. So this is our normal function. So we are passing it to the filter function. So check marks is the function name, and from this list it will, whatever is evaluated true will be passed on to this passed variable and printed. So that list passed will be printed. The same thing is executed by this lambda function, where we are passing the list marks and this condition is checked. So whatever this condition is satisfying, that is x is greater than 35, those elements will be taken to this passed list and that is printed here. So both will give me the same result, that is passed list means 45, 84, 56 and 79. These four elements are greater than 35, so that will be printed. So here it is in both the ways I am getting the same result. Now next is mapping. Here also, just like filter function, this function mapping takes in a function and a list, and function is called with all the items in the list, and a new list is returned which contains items returned by this function. So in this case, what the function is doing is it is multiplying by 2, that is all the elements in the list are multiplied by 2, and the result is taken to this new list and printed here. And in the second case, here all the elements are divided by 2, x percent 2. The result of that, that is the remainder, will be taken to this new list and printed. So we will run this. So here it is. In the first case, all the elements are multiplied by 2. So 9 becomes 18, 5, 10 and so on. And here in the second case, the remainder is taken to the new list. That is, first is 9 divided by 2, we get remainder 1. Then 5 by 2 also we get remainder 1. Then 4 by 2, 0. 7 by 2 remainder is 1. Then 8 by 2 remainder is 0 and so on. So hope you understood this video. If you like this video, share it with your friends and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks very much.